Hate it.
Just, I started sweating.
Fully.
Yeah, or even just delivering like 2 or 3 to a location, even if you drop them from your inventory, just like dump them.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be cool.
Could you imagine if they despawn and you just come across a huge pile of shield pots, just every shield pot that's spawned in the Hollow Land, just outside this one dude's tent? He's going to be stacking. My brain is deceiving me. What was the second quest of this week? So I remember the third, but the second is eluding me.
Second quest is yeah, the second quest is
defending.
Yes.
Yeah, defending fellow Lorebreakers from the Vowguards. Oh, and if you
sounds so good.
If you'd noticed, the Vowguards were actually using gauntlets this time as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because we were speaking about that last week, weren't we? About the Vowkeepers kind of using elemental gauntlets and stuff. So it's interesting. Ferec's using some new tactics. Seems like he's kind of sick of us. We did really piss him off last week.
maybe the tactics we taught him a few weeks ago.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I feel like something's coming back to bite us in the arse all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. And then the third quest. What are we got for the third quest this week? The third and final.
Healing up after the massive fight. Delivering potions to the Vowbreaker camps.
Indeed. Need to get them meds back up. I'm guessing that's red pots. Then
yeah.
Any health potions. Same kind of idea as your potion shards, just with red pots.
Yeah. Again, too long of a animation interaction to deliver a singular health potion. But
oh man, like a time it was like, oh yeah, guys, can we have more movement? No, stand here for 60 seconds whilst your character does an animation.
You want an interaction? We give you interaction.
Yeah. We asked for interactables in game. I mean, obviously, Captain, you showed me a couple of clips of the kind of interactions you have with the Vowkeepers and the breakers you're trying to protect. It looks really, really cool, like really interesting, and quite a unique gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, it's kind of the most fun I've had in BR recently, because it gets really chaotic. So in and around Halcyon, 2 AI Vowbreakers will spawn, surrounded by 4 AI Vowguards. And I did actually just leave the fight to see how it plays out. The Vowguard will win.
Really?
You need to go in and protect your breaker buddies. But yeah, it gets crazy, because you'll sit there, you'll just be traversing the Hollowlands. All of a sudden, you hear all of this spawning go off as the breakers and the Vowguard spawn in, and then as you're involved in all of that chaos, a player then comes in and joins the fight. So not only are you fighting the Vowguards, but you're also fighting the player. The Vowguards are fighting the Vowbreakers. The Breakers are fighting the Vowguards. The Vowguards are also attacking the other guy. It gets pretty wild.
Total mayhem. To be honest, I use like popping a mana vault and using the Vowguard to like distance enemies from myself. I do it all the time in BR. Like, just run past a mana vault and pop it, and the 3 Vowguards just start wind spamming the dude who's chasing me. It's great. The one time they're useful.
I have found myself doing that more and more as well.
Yeah, especially with them around the epic chests and that now as well. They do seem to be spawning a lot more frequently in the Hollowlands.
They're a plague.
Indeed, they're taking over I mean, I assume they're there to do the same thing as us, which is gain as many artifacts as they can from the Hollowlands, because we know that Ferec has a problem with us going to like Lux Vault and stuff like that and taking all these artifacts.
I think this week in particular, the attack has come because Ferec is lashing out because we double crossed him.
Yeah,
he's snow lashing out, is he?
Yeah, he. Naughty stare for that one. That's bad.
Pun Master Sloth is already here. Oh man, you're getting a new Discord role for sure.
Oh,
oh, brilliant. But no, it is really interesting, because like you just said, Cap, and like, obviously because like, you know, you said obviously like we crossed him last week or whatever, but we went exactly where he told us to. We got the exact bit of paper he asked us to, and then he was Hello, 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 everybody. We are here for volume 4 of the Lorebreakers podcast. So we're a few minutes behind today, and we are missing a man. But we are here nonetheless. We got some super exciting quests this week. Speaking of, Sloth, if you want to say hello and introduce this week's quests, and also a huge welcome back to Casual Adobo. We have missed you so much, my friend. Let me just undeafen myself in Discord. There we go.
Hello.
How are we, guys? I hope you're all feeling blessed. I just started up without undeafening myself. I knew I was going to mess something up tonight. But we are here. We are back. I was wondering why you weren't responding to me, Sloth. That is my bad entirely. Welcome to Volume 4, everybody. Sloth, we've had some interesting quests this week. If you'd like to kick us off.
We have had some incredibly interesting quests this week. Like, I was up till 1 a.m. this morning waiting for him because it's coming to the end of the chapter, and I'm so hyped for what's coming. And we were not disappointed. Holy shit. We have been introduced to a whole new... I don't want to say complete school of magic, but a whole new area of magic that is kind of... has been touched upon before, but is also new in its own right. So with the Chronomaster rune, obviously, we've had an introduction to some form of time magic. However, this week, the first quest that we have to do is we have to go to Castle Bogmore, as it turns out the Bogmore Collective at the end of the at the beginning of the Val Mandate, had hidden away something called the Chronolith, which allows the user, and I don't know how it does it or what rituals are needed. We know, obviously, the Bogmore Collective are very into their rituals, but it allows the user to view into the past is all we know at the moment, because we're going to use it to see what happened with the fracture, to see how that all happened and everything. But whether it can look into the future, I don't know. It's very much time bound though, the Chronolith, and it's hidden in Castle Bogmore. Once we find that, we then have to take that over to Sawtooth Mountain, which is the area we need to use to attune it to our current timeline. And hearing Thaddy talk about timelines is something else, I'm not gonna lie. Especially after watching Loki for the past 2 days. Like it's
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's all kind of on the nose at the moment. So we attune it to our timeline at Sawtooth, and then we get word of Ferec, his panties in a twist again, and sending his elite Valguard into the Hollowlands to try and disrupt our missions. And we have to go meet them at the Arena of Elders.
A great place to meet them.
It's almost like it was meant to be.
Almost like it's an arena.
Exactly.
Almost like it's designed.
Exactly. So in the middle of the arena, you see the golden circle that we're so used to for drop-off quests and activation quests at the moment. And once you activate that, you are greeted by a NPC in the tier 3 fire skin that I can't remember the name of right now. And wielding a fire gauntlet. And in the introduction to this quest, it does give us a little hint on how to complete it. It says that sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. So I tried shooting it with my ice bow, obviously, it mentions fire twice and I choose ice.
Good.
It doesn't do any damage. It turns out you have to use the exact gauntlet that they're using, or your noodle, your arcane magic.
Noodles.
Once you defeated the first pyro, you are then greeted by another, I think it's a stone shaper. And once you defeat that by the same means, obviously stone gauntlet or noodle, it goes into, I think it goes into 2 and then it spawns another 2, or it might be 1 and 3. I can't remember exactly. It was late when I did them, but eventually you go through all 6 elements and you have to fight them with the gauntlet, which conveniently enough is below where they spawn.
Oh, that's nice. At least they give it to you.
One of each around the arena and they spawn on the gauntlet.
Imagine having to run all the way back to Halcyon just to grab that grey fire that you saw on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when we were talking about it in the pre-podcast lobby, because I haven't been able to do it. When you said that you have to fight it with each element, I was like, God, I really hope they give you those gauntlets. Otherwise, this is going to be a pain in the butt to because I know there's gauntlets there, but not all the elements are there sometimes. It's like, man, they really really want to make you work for this quest.
Yeah, Ferec is making
Yeah,
it easy
definitely.
for us. Well, apparently he is actually, but it's it's
Ferec,
interesting with the with now I want to know what magic they're using to block all of the other elemental gauntlets. Do they have some kind of special brillstones that act as shields for anything other than the current brillstone their gauntlets are tuned to?
I didn't actually think about that when I was fighting them. And
That was the
is a
first
very
thing that
good
popped into
point.
my head is like, why can't I damage them with anything else? Why?
That was my first thought as well. Why can't I damage them? And then I kind of was like, oh yeah, fire with fire. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because you know I watched the past 2 weeks podcast while I was out, and I think someone mentioned something about like, you know, is there armor in the Highlands, the Hollowlands, that is like sort of like elementally attuned or blocks out certain things, and maybe Ferec has some this is some deep speculation about something, but maybe they have like some weird like armor stuff that's like that deflects certain elements, or you know, there is some sort of magic that you know, it nullifies all magic, but because they have to use that particular gauntlet, maybe it lets that through, so it's like a two-way street there.
Yeah, well, it's like Sloth said with the Armorers as well. There was definitely a faction or a group of people, whether it be a race or you know, just a faction within the Highlands called the Armorers. So we know that there is some level of, you know, armor in the Hollowlands, and looking at what we currently use, I can't imagine there is a profession exclusively around building belts. And I don't think you could class yourself as an armorer if you exclusively like are making belts. So it's definitely an interesting
having
theory.
a race called the Belters doesn't quite work.
The Belters.
The belt makers.
I love it. But yeah, that was a question from Chameleon. Yeah, with the who is in chat at the moment. Hello, Chameleon, as well. We appreciate all of your questions. Chameleon's definitely given us a lot to talk about over these podcasts. Definitely a shout out for them. But Adobo, I love that idea. Like I say, kind of the same thoughts as myself. Yeah, I could just imagine, you know, you've got 2 gloves with a brillstone in each, and then a chest plate with a brillstone in it, and like you say, unfortunately, if you want to wield the offensive power of the brillstone, you have to sacrifice the defensive power. It could be the brillstones, if it's put in a piece of armor, the brillstone acts defensively, and of course in a weapon offensively, which would be really cool to see.
Yeah. I am curious, like, not to dive too deep off of something that's like complete speculation, but I obviously the Vowkeepers are very anti-magic. I wonder if they've developed tools and stuff that prevent magic. Like, it's not just like a philosophy of like, oh, magic is bad, but rather there is items that they give people to specifically wear, almost like a, you know, anti-magic amulet, right? Just to use my D&D brain. That they give to people, and I wonder if, like, you know, it has those capabilities, but pure speculation.
Yeah. Well, we could be right. I mean, it's definitely a believable speculation. It's definitely got some weight to it and some evidence to it. But yeah, we'll definitely have to see where that goes.
Prisma have some way of being able to weave brillstones into robes or something.
True.
Yeah, the merchant could be wearing one now, for all we know. That very nice looking robe.
She's always there, just like chilling, not getting any damage.
Yeah, where is the merchant in all of this, right?
Right, where is she? Imagine on Dustpool, you just go right to the top of the dome, and she's just sat on the top.
They're just chilling up there, just watching all this destruction, just laughing.
What if it's like the Shade Hand, and it's just an implantation of a memory, as it were, in our heads, a vision?
That gets dangerous, because like, so yeah, okay, let's just run off this train of thought real quick. Let's go. If it is like an implantation of a memory, right? Does that mean that our imagination controls what gauntlets we can create at what time? And thus, if we unlock like the other like 80% of our brain, we can just wield all the elements, becoming like the last Airbender or something.
Huge.
Where's my tinfoil hat? I'm coming in hot. Been gone for 2 weeks. I got speculations up for days.
You've been holding this all in just for tonight, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, God, I can't wait to talk about lore.
Oh, it's been really good. The last 2 weeks have been great. The guests that we've had on have had some really interesting theories for us. To be honest, both Ain and Cap'n have been great guests.
For sure, yeah. Shout out to them. They
Oh,
did
yeah.
fantastic jobs.
Massively, for sure. Well, you were out on your Lawbreaker missions, Adobo, but we are we are glad to have you back for sure. So is there anything else we want to kind of cover on this week's quests? Obviously, I know they're quite closely linked to the Bogmore Collective, and you know how I've been tapping away at the old Bogmore Collective recently.
It's just how huge the implications for the chronolith could be. Like, just because we're gonna use it to look back at this one point of the fracture of what happens doesn't mean that there's not more. Like, this is a huge story point. Like, we've mentioned, and I can't remember if we've mentioned this on the stream or whether it's just in our little pre-stream chats. It's the case of that they might be moving a bit too quickly with the story, but this is effectively their Elder Scroll.
Well,
They can do anything.
If we're talking timelines,
now,
we could just jump between timelines and forever have a story.
Who's to say we can't mix it with a teleportation rune or something?
It just go to a world where Ferec won or wins.
Yeah.
Because one thing that interested me about the chronolith was, of course, we can use it to see into the past. Is there any indication in the past that we are using it? And if so, can the people in the past look at us? Can we converse? How powerful is it?
I don't. That's a good point. That is a very good point. My immediate thought was it was working a lot like when you see in films and things, like when they go back to view something that happened and they're just this ethereal kind of being watching it as if it was a movie, like they're watching it in VR, for instance. So that's how I think it works personally, just because that's all I've got to go on at the moment.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, that was another thing that popped into my mind was, yeah, like how powerful is it? To what extent does it go? Like, can we just see in this small slit of time, or can we move where the chronolith sees? Do we get to choose where we see the past, or do we simply get to see the past from Bogmore or Sawtooth, wherever it may be that we use it?
Yeah, no,
I mean,
definitely.
To piggyback off of that, I was gonna say, like, whose perspective of the past are we looking at, right? Because you know, to tie it back in once again to a week 3 discussion that you guys talked about, you know, what's true for one is a lie in the other, or I'm paraphrasing there, but you know, obviously there's many perspectives of the story that we're encountering. We think we know the right one, but you know, who's really to be trusted at this point? So it'll be interesting the vantage point in which we see this story unfold through the chronolith. You know, if it is Bogmore's perspective, that's probably very different than what Halcyon is, like, you know, experiencing. Or if it's from a particular person, is it someone's memories from, like, you load in like a vital stone and then you like see their memories, sort of like Harry Potter-esque.
If you look in it, is it your do you see your past selves visions? Like, do we get to see
how would that work given how far back how do we know how far back it could go? How do we don't know
if we
how
get
long
Thaddeus
with vital stones, we don't know.
If we get Thaddeus to look in it though, and that is the case, then we could find out who Thaddeus's granddaughter was. We could find out whether Thaddeus was telling the truth. Not that I disbelieve him, but
my theory could be coming true.
I mean, we could be if Thaddeus looks into it, we could be looking into Thaddeus's backstory, which one of the reasons, you know, story wise, that I went into the Lorebreakers quest that I went upon was to study a little bit of the past of the Stormguard, and Thaddeus and Neelake are both kind of closely intertwined with that. So maybe we get Stormguard narrative at some point, either this chapter or next. So maybe.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's, as I say, the implications are absolutely huge. Like, I'm wondering whether we can. Obviously, as you say, we're going to find. Hopefully, we'll find out who Thaddy's granddaughter was. We're going to find out what happened to the fracture. Which, as soon as I saw the openings of the quests this week, it was. I didn't think we were going to find out this soon. Like, I put out a video not too long ago theorizing how this could have all come about, and I did not make that video thinking, oh, we're going to know in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Like, if we ever know, it'll be chapters away.
Because we could, it could even get to an extent where we look into the past and it brings more questions than answers. That's always a possibility. We look in
100%.
and at the point of the fracture happening, we see Ferec doing something, we see Thaddeus doing something, we see his granddaughter doing something, and it's still no clearer to us who it was.
Yeah, no, definitely. That could easily be what happens. That could easily be the theme of chapter 3. We could go into it with being stuck back in time, perhaps trying to figure it out in the narrative, not obviously in the map, but there's so much they can do with this, and I absolutely love having a plot device like this because, as you say, we couldn't end up not knowing anything more than we already do. We could have all the answers by the end of it. We could end up. Do you know what I mean? We could end up getting stuck. We go anywhere. It's just insane. We could use it in the future to find out more about the Prisma.
I mean, again, even using the chronolith, if it's this hugely, massively powerful magic item, could it make the fracture worse in the present by trying to look into the past? We don't know.
Right.
We don't know its limitations, its expectation, anything at all about it. Which is, well, I'm looking forward to hear more.
Also adds another twist to the tale because if you think about it, we so far have two potential reasons as to what the fracture happened. Either the Breakers caused it or the Keepers caused it. This could potentially be a third. This is the first time we've heard of any of the Five-Hand Alliance using magic during the Val Mandate, and it specifically said that this hasn't been seen since the Val Mandate.
Interesting. I mean, Bogmore is very shady, right? They have been known to do rituals
What's
and
the
things.
pun intended?
A little bit. But yeah, they've. I mean, yeah, even Garrick back in the journals knew like when dealing with Bogmore, like they were just kind of like a little weird, a little out there. And the fact that like the Shade Hand can essentially influence dreams.
Yeah.
Magic?
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, this is the thing. Like, if they've been using magic for all these things, like we know they've used it to give Garrick these visions, and now we know that they've been using the chronolith this whole time. A, what have they been looking at? Sure as hell, obviously, isn't the fracture. Otherwise, they'd already know, and they could tell everybody. B, how invested are the Shade Hand into both the Five-Hand Alliance and the Val Mandate if they've blatantly disregarded it to this respect?
Yeah.
The only other faction we know using magic during the Val Mandate are the Breakers and the Elite Val Guard of the Keepers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even if you look back at the history of how the Alliance was formed in Garrick's journals, I'm pretty sure Bogmore and the Shade Hand were the last among them to join the Alliance. I mean, they all came together and talked about at the same time, but they were the ones that like all the other like places were like, okay, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. Bogmore was like, hold up, wait, let's talk about this more. We got problems with you guys.
How much do you actually want to know?
Yeah. Can we keep our secrets? Yes,
that's exactly
okay,
it. And that kind of leads me to what I was just about to say. Is I was like, if they are keeping all these secrets, are they just using the Five-Hand Alliance to keep them off their back? You give a little, they ain't going to ask any more questions.
I mean,
if they allow you to use it on their behalf, obviously as they have done with Garrick and making the new Val Mandate or updating the Val Mandate, if they're allowed to use these little bits of magic, maybe they won't then look any further at what they actually are fully capable of.
Yeah, for sure. There's just so much potential here. I feel like even though these new plot points and plot devices are bringing in like very fast plot movement, it is also just opening a few more doors and adding a few more little things that could just explode into this massive 18-chapter storyline that we will never be able to predict. I mean, even the small map changes we've been seeing across the weeks. I mean, I don't know whether it's just because I don't play enough BR and I don't go to every part of the map in every BR game, but I've been noticing a lot more of them stone heads appearing, like the busts of the mage on doors, on rocks, in front of little ritual tables, in every location on the map. So there's so many little things that I feel like are bringing more questions rather than answers, which is always a fun thing for us, and definitely for the future of the story.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. It's just it's unfathomable what they can do with this.
Absolutely. And yeah, I know we were saying like maybe the story is going a little too fast. In my opinion, good. Because I think one of the things that I was complaining about, like before my hiatus, was I really wish the story picked up, and then it just went into like 11th gear, and and now it's like, because I was struggling, like, well, what's the story going to be for like chapter 3, chapter 4? Now I'm like, holy crap, we have a lot of story points for chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, and I really like the idea that you said, Sloth, that what if we look in it and get stuck, right? Could you imagine?
It's all possible. Like as I said, when you introduce time travel and multiple timelines, there's so much that can then be written about. Like the narrative team now has just endless possibilities, more so than probably just Magic gives you.
And it's definitely really cool to see that the narrative team is can surprise us. Do you know what I mean? We all thought a continuation of the Vital Stone of Guile. We thought we were gonna stop Ferec, or maybe go and get some parts of that, or fight Ferec for the Vital Stone of Guile. No, we're gonna look into the past and figure out exactly what happened in the fracture. Quote Thaddeus. Short
never
quote.
saw that one coming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you'd have said the word chronolith to me 3 days ago, what? I think you mean Chronomaster.
You mean a rune, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. The part of this that we had any kind of predictions on or theories towards was the Elite Valguard coming. Because the battle is coming. That is the only. Do you know what I mean? They've completely thrown a curveball at us here with the chronolith, and I love it.
So I'm interested, Sloth, just before we kind of go off this week's questions and go into our main topic. The chronolith, how big is it? What does it look like?
So it's one of those things that it kind of doesn't stay a consistent size. As with most games, when you come across something you've got to pick up, it's obvious it's a lot smaller when it's in its pickup form than it is when you place it down and it's part of the environment.
Yeah. I'm more kind of meant in the environment. It's kind of canonical size per se.
It's canonical state. It was tricky because I didn't get a good look at it. It being Sawtooth and the Stone Shrine drop, I didn't really stay around longer than I needed to. I had about 4 people land with me when I was doing it, but from what I did see, it's about the size of the statues that you see. The the statues with the claws and
the epic chest statues. The dude stood like
it's about that
yeah.
size, if I remember rightly.
Somebody in chat has just asked, is there only one per round? I'm guessing like one per BR game. Do you know if more than one person can do it in a game?
I don't, and I kind of am leaning towards it is 1 per game, which is unheard of for any kind of quest so far. But it being 1 a.m. and I was tired, or whether it is the case it was 1 per match, I swear to Christ, I went to the top of the tower, I looked exactly at the chest I needed to, and it was not glowing. It was not there. But next game, I was one of the first to get there, and I took it and ran.
That's interesting.
It's something that needs a bit more investigation, so it could go either way at the moment.
Yeah, it could easily be a bug that, like, obviously some of these story quests we've seen in the past have been bugged and just didn't show up or activate at certain times. But if it is 1 per round, holy, that would be nuts. That would absolutely be cool, but annoying. Agreed.
Yeah, that'd be equal parts great and annoying.
Yeah, because that means I'm never going to complete that quest.
Yeah, full lobby drop on Bogmore.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get bodied out of it.
It could just be a case of on a timer. So the Shrine Blessing quests we've been getting given. Obviously, you can only get 1 Shrine Blessing every like couple of minutes or something.
Yeah, maybe the chronolith has to be placed and activated at Sawtooth before it can then be repicked up from Bogmore.
I don't think that, because they're 2 different quests, so you have to end the game before you can do the next one.
Okay, then I see.
So you got to give the chronolith some time to rewind time and then go back to its original location.
Living up to its name.
There we go.
It just chronomasters itself back.
It's a very loaded subject that they've kind of just dropped on us, and it being the first quest of the week as well, it's just insane. We could literally spend a whole podcast about it when we get a bit more on it, but just alone, like, we spent half an hour talking about it. It's I as soon as I saw it, I literally put in the Lorebreakers chat. I was like, guys, huge.
I was at work. I was like, wait, what do you mean, Chronolith? What?
Yeah, I got back from work and I just saw the wall of text and I'm like, oh God, what happened? And then it's like Chronolith. Oh God, what happened?
Oh God, what happened? But louder.
Yeah.
But more
Like,
intensity.
So excited about it because we're gonna find out what happened to the fracture. If you ignore every other possibility, like, we're gonna find out what happens to the fracture. It's
PogChamp. That's
and
what
it
it
ends
is.
next week, so we've only got to wait a week.
Yeah. Imagine we
find
put the
out what
chronolith
happened
down, it breaks, and we just never hear about it until chapter 6. Just put it down, and just Ferec just pushes it over, and it just shatters, and it's like, oh, crap.
There's more than one, right? No.
Thaddeus is just backing off slowly, like,
Thaddeus sits on it. It's just a really vital, like, not Lorebreakers, Vowbreakers meeting, and he's like, all right, let's get down to business, and just sits on it, it breaks. Shit. Please tell me that wasn't the Chronolith.
Just
last week,
just
I love
stands
the
up,
idea
little
that
shards
Thaddeus
are just
is kind of-
falling off the back of his trousers. I don't know what you're talking about, guys.
I love the idea that Thaddeus is kind of Adam West from Family Guy character.
Yo, he just stone slammed the Chronolith with his butt. Great.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
man.
that powerful.
The Thaddy go bunk.
Nothing that flex tape can't fix. Is there canonically flex tape in the HoloLands? Next question I'm sending to Pro.
Yeah.
How do we repair things?
Yeah, tweet at Play Spellbreak. Is there flex tape?
Oh, Phil Swift. I would love to see a Phil Swift outfit in Spellbreak.
Dear God. One can only hope. One can only dream.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, if you guys are happy to move on to the main event.
No, definitely. It kind of leads on quite nicely because Chapter 1 was very Bogmore oriented with the map changes and a load of the quests, and now we're being thrust back into the secrets that the Bogmore kind of still have hidden from us. This isn't the first time we've had to get magical artifacts from them.
Very true, very true. Chapter 1 had us spending a lot of time in Bogmore. We saw the Bogmore Death Dealer in the trailer for Chapter 1 as well. A very ominous character with a Tox Gauntlet, dashing up towards the green flame at the top of the tower, or castle, should I say. I'd definitely be interested to learn more about the Bogmore Death Dealer. Could the Bogmore Death Dealer be somebody who has used the Chronolith too much, and he seems almost corrupted due to it? I mean, if the Bogmore Collective have been using it for this long, and we know that the Death Dealer is kind of a high-ranking agent, I would assume, or a kind of mercenary of the Bogmore Collective, could he be a time-traveling mercenary?
Maybe, or he's just seen some shit.
Yeah.
he just traveled back to the wrong spot and was like, "Oh my God, this is what it was like," and then just corrupts his soul.
Yeah. Accidentally chipped a bit of his vital stone off.
Well, that's the thing though, because they've said that the Vowkeepers are telling everyone that the magic corrupts. Mm-hmm. So we don't know how much of that is actually true. We've got the Hollow. We know the Spellstorm can corrupt people. We've only just known about the time magic from the Chronolith. We have no idea the effects it could have and how much truth there is in Ferec's statement. So yeah, you could well be on the money there.
But yeah, so here's the thing about Chapter 1. I missed it all. So I should have, said that before, but I mean, I think I have, but I missed all of Chapter 1. I was moving across the country.
Wow.
So there were good reasons. But so if what exactly happened in chapter 1? So I've gotten bits and pieces from, the other official journal, Spellbreak Wiki, and have gotten a little bit of sense of it was really based around the Aegis Towers, and kind of learning what the Spellstorm was. I know, apparently from the Enlighten episode, week 2 of Lorebreakers podcast on YouTube now. So
Yes.
there is some not beef, but like
it was beef.
not
It
PTSD, but like
it was the beefiest. So the Aegis Towers, we had to go and absorb the energy from the Aegis Towers in the last week of chapter 1. If you absorb the energy from the Aegis Tower, it gives you an extra 100 health and 100 armor instantly.
Nice. I can see where this is going.
Not to mention the extra 2 sorcery charges.
Yeah, and the 30-second mana increase to the full 180 degree worth of mana. So basically, you just have 9 people drop on top of an Aegis Tower. The first person and the lowest ping person to spam their E key got the buff, and everyone else died. Because they had a 200 health advantage off drop, 3 sorceries, and unlimited mana, pretty much.
Yeah, here's my off the cuff theory. That person became Guile.
Ooh, that is very interesting. Because there were 5 of the Aegis Towers, of course, so 5 people could get the buff. If you killed somebody with the buff, you got the buff, and it fully healed you.
Nice. It sort of reminds me of
sorceries all stacked.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Big.
So you could actually run around with like 14 plus whatever you got from knowledge potions.
Big yikes.
Yeah.
Big yikes. Like 10 boulders is disgusting.
What happens if 2 like Aegis Tower buff players met? Who won?
A long fight. A long fight.
Usually the conduit.
Yeah.
Because potential energy with that was just disgusting.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I was gonna say, I sort of jokingly said the whole Guile thing, but when I was reading it, one of the biggest questions that I was left with, and I don't know if this was answered or explained or anything, but like, why were we as breakers able to absorb this energy?
Yeah,
and what this energy is?
I don't think we ever figured that out, did we?
Quincy Boy asked us the exact same thing, or asked himself in front of us the exact same thing. Like, for some reason, you guys can interact with it, and it's basically we absorb energy from the Spellstorm, and then the Fracture then feeds it back in, which is why the Spellstorm obviously isn't gone from us taking the energy. But our energy was then, because we had a quest where we had to activate the Aegis Towers, which was as how we figured out we had our energy being sapped or whatever it was in the first place. And it basically, I think it was saying much like the Aegis Tower buff was a reaction to the energy you put in when you activated it.
Yeah, yeah. So basically,
no, sorry, mate. For a definite answer, we don't have one.
Yeah, because basically what Quincy said to us was, he said, yeah, like Sloth said, you can for some reason absorb the magic of the Spellstorm. So if we send enough of you breakers out into the Hollowlands, maybe we can absorb enough of the Spellstorm's power to put it off for X amount of time and research it. So we kept going into the Hollowlands, we interacted with the Aegis Towers to see if we could get any kind of magical reaction out of them. Quincy kept telling us that we're still absorbing the Spellstorm magic, but for some reason the Spellstorm isn't getting weaker, it's getting stronger. And he believed the reason for that was because us activating the Aegis Tower caused the Aegis Towers to absorb a lot of energy from the Spellstorm. So Quincy, knowing that we could absorb energy from the Spellstorm just by being in the Hollowlands, he was like, just go try suck all of it out of the Aegis Tower and maybe you won't die. Luckily we didn't. It went quite the opposite, where we became extremely powerful. But yeah, it was never answered why we absorbed the power, where the power is absorbed, well, like where it is now, because obviously the Aegis Towers were activated. We sucked up the magic for a few weeks and everything seems Gucci again.
Yeah, they never answered that. Like, they never said, "Oh, well done, you've absorbed all the magic. Now the Aegis Towers have settled again," or for some reason the
and we
Aegis
have
Towers seem to have switched off through your
yeah,
interference. You know what I mean? There's just
but
nothing.
yeah,
It's
we
like, it's
have
gone.
we have no idea
Yeah.
why we can absorb the power.
I do have a theory that I'd like to pitch to you guys and see
Go on.
if you think what you guys think about it. But so I think that the reason why the Breakers were able to absorb the Aegis Tower spell storm energy is because like our vital stones are able to absorb that. And so I mentioned all this saying that we know that Ferec or someone was trying to reconstitute the vital stone of Guile. I think they needed a large amount of spell tides or spell storm energy in order to do that. And I think they might have deactivated the Aegis Towers previously in order for the spell type to come in order to lightning rod and Frankenstein it into Guile's vital stone to try and revitalize him, but accidentally create the fracture instead.
I love it. Wow.
It makes sense.
Mm.
It makes a lot of sense. One passage from the journal, which is quite possibly the most ominous, is the one where he says, "We were too late. The fracture happened at dawn. The corruption of Guile has been unleashed."
Yeah, we were too
We-
late. We didn't
Yeah.
stop it after we allowed it.
Yeah.
Strokes chin intuitively.
Exactly. Like, I love how that one literal entry has so much like impact behind
Yeah, it
it.
has so much weight, doesn't it? It's
Literally.
so much gravity. That is
100%.
really interesting though, Adobo. I think that is definitely something that could be the case. Like, if that were to come out, I would be like, yes, I'm happy with that. That makes sense to me. That is a satisfying conclusion. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. The other thing was I mean, kind of just curious about it. But I was wondering if, the Aegis Towers are sort of filtering out the spell storm, because obviously the storm comes in and we die in it, right? But why were we able to absorb this one as opposed to, die? Or I mean exile. And so I was curious if the Aegis Towers are also filtering out the energy to make it more of a substance, sort of like if we make a distinction between spell storm, which is bad, dangerous, deadly, and spell tides, which are calming and kind of reinvigorating. What if it turns a spell storm into spell tide energy and we are absorbing the spell tide energy?
So it is interesting as well that the Aegis Towers seem to perfectly surround Halcyon. So if the Aegis Towers were there to protect, then the spell tides or spell storms would never be able to come in any further than that ring around Halcyon, which is of course the center point, the most interesting.
I kind of just.
I'm sorry. Oh, I just saw that message in chat and that really caught me off guard. J Hobbs, why does Sloth look like an onion? And so this is Sloth's tinfoil hat that he uses for theories. That really caught me off guard.
I'm about to make an onion hat now.
100%, I love it.
Oh, no, that's great.
Because he has so many layers.
Onions have layers.
Love it.
That's incredible. The second number one wins the chat for today for bringing in Shrek.
Yeah. I love it. But yeah, as we were kind of, before I grossly went off on the onion tangent, as you guys were saying.
Yeah, just while we're on the topic of the Aegis Towers and surrounding Halcyon, and I've got my tinfoil hat on, when I was looking up the locations, because I made an Aegis Tower location map during Chapter 1, I did, with my conspiracy brain, notice the fact that you could make a perfect pentagram from the locations.
Yeah, I also did the same. I went full Metal Alchemist on that. I was like, yo, are we trying to summon God?
Yeah. Like, as soon as I saw the locations of the Aegis Towers, I instantly just, my vision was like, boom, there's a pentagram.
I mean, completely, absolutely yeeting the spitball. But there's been a leaked skin, the Blood Knight, imagine we summon the Blood Knight through the pentagram. I'm sure that was his name. Is it the Blood Knight?
I have no
I'm
idea.
sure. I'm
Sounds
gonna have to
menacing.
double check, but yeah, he is a very ominous and menacing skin for sure. Yeah, and it was
The other
super
thing is-
interesting because we haven't seen him yet either. Yeah, we haven't seen that skin yet. Yes, yeah, it is the Blood Knight.
With pentagrams being obviously so involved in spirituality and summoning and that, could this be the point where we summon Guile?
Mm, yeah, it could be.
That would be interesting. I mean, that would be interesting that, you know, maybe the Aegis Towers weren't necessarily just for defense. Maybe they're vaults. There's something underneath of them that they're also protecting, and that by destroying
Brillstone
them...
Automaton.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I really think the Brillstone Automaton is going to have some weight in the story. Whether it was made, I know, pointing back to the armorers, that could be very much something that the armorers could have put together. It's really, really interesting, for sure.
I would very much like to know, because we speculate, and in the community is very much accepted, because I think we heard or we read somewhere that Bug Hunter is the only skin that isn't canon.
Yeah.
But I would very much like to know for definite how each one fits in with the lore, because some of them are so easy. You can. Do you know what I mean? Others, just like the faking. We've had no absolute mention of fey creatures or anything up until that skin released.
Faking, yeah.
So,
Also, who's saying that Bug Hunter isn't canon, and why?
I don't know the reasons, but it's literally just you ask anyone in the community, and they'll pretty much just tell you that Bug Hunter.
I'm sure it was one of the
tweet from
devs. I'm sure it was one of the devs. Whether it was actually Seth or whether it was somebody a little bit like Dogles or someone like that. I'm sure that there is actual like written proof that one of the devs has said Bug Hunter is non-canonical.
Someone can find that would be amazing, because I'm
that
losing my
would
mind
be.
remembering this thing that might not even be real.
Because yeah, I would say that, like, you know, of all the skins, right, or all the outfits, like, Bug Hunter's probably the most canonical.
He's
like,
the most
there's probably
interesting.
giant bugs. Just because we haven't seen them, because, you know, the fracture wiped them all out or something, doesn't mean they didn't exist before. There wasn't a need for Bug Hunter.
New
you know?
race.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is Bug Hunter is just the hot Highlands exterminator.
Yeah, like he's going in, like fire gauntlet equipped, just standing on top of Sawtooth, looking down. Insectoid like creatures just looking up at him, menacing, and he just looks back at them, menacing, and then just jumps down and starts fireballing everything.
I love it, just DFing the entire place,
Yeah.
just clouds everywhere.
Yeah, it's just Exterminator City. Like there's like, you know, insect parts just like blowing up everywhere, just like little screeches like in the background.
It's actually quite interesting that you mentioned that, and the Tox clouds, obviously being part of. I don't know whether you meant that they were coming from the bugs or whether he was throwing them himself, but
Either other.
I read the other day, I think it was in someone's chat, that the Tox gauntlet is confirmed as being the only one that's man-made.
Yes, that is true. Yes, all of the other are natural elements, whereas toxic is a man-made element.
So we could therefore make Bug Hunter canonical, surely.
Wait.
If there were bugs in the Highlands,
Did the bug...
famous bugs in the Highlands, could the Bug Hunter not have been the one tasked with making Tox Gauntlet?
Did the Bogmore Collective use the green flame to make toxic? Where do we always see the toxic gauntlet associated with? It's always the Bogmore Collective.
And now we know they have access to unbound magic.
Yeah, and we always see, we see, what's her name, Blackthorn, she's always using Shadow Step. What other class uses Shadow Step apart from a toxicologist? I mean, maybe your odd Frostborn, but, everything surrounding Bogmore seems very toxicology, dragon fiery kind of thing. So, yeah, the Green Flame could have even been part of the magic that brought the Toxic Gauntlet to life. I definitely think that there is a little bit more to it. I mean, something that I've literally just thought of right now is we keep seeing all of these little great green potions everywhere. Maybe that is the toxic element. That is it in its purest form. In the potions. I mean, I wouldn't be able to explain the purple potions unless time. Time is associated with purple in chronolith juice.
Time potions now.
Fuel for the chronolith.
Chrono potions. Oh no, we're going too deep there. But no, with the toxic, I definitely think the Bogmore Collective would have been the ones to have kind of headwayed making toxic the element.
Yeah,
I think it'll either be. Sorry, go on, Adobe. I see you were.
Oh no, I was gonna say something stupid. But I was gonna say to tie it all in with the actual lore stuff that Eldegold's talking about, and the meme stuff that we were talking about with Bug Hunter. Is Bug Hunter the Shade Hand?
Oh.
Eldegold PogChamp. Huge.
Literally, that is. Yeah. No, that's.
Yeah, clearly.
Wow.
We've
imagine
done
we
it,
see the
guys.
Shade Hand. It's like a whole Scooby-Doo moment where he's all tied up and they pull the Bug Hunter off the top, or pull the Shade Hand off the top, and it's just Bug Hunter.
Yeah, because like the Bug Hunter already is nightmare fuel already.
Very true.
It's just a
Just
Shade
as-
Hand roaming.
I fear
Another
for a
your
nightmare,
theory.
including the Bug Hunter. I fear.
Just as another option to your theory there, Adobo, on the Shade Hand being one of the skins we have. The Hollow is another one that kind of fits perfectly. If they're not hollowed breakers that spent too much time in the Hollowlands, I would very much next bet make them the Shade Hand.
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. Although I am of the strong belief that they are breakers that were corrupted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like them being like sort of like the almost like a physical manifestation of the Shade Hand, because the Shade Hand is so secretive that he doesn't, or they don't, meet with anyone revealing their true identity.
Yeah, because we don't even know if the Shade Hand is human.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Shade Hand could just
literally
take
don't know
the
anything
form of
about
a hollow to be intimidating, because they know that humans are intimidated by being hollowed by the spellstorm.
The other thing is, it's interesting to note that in Garrick's journal, he mentions the fact that even when the Shade Hand attends meetings, they're not convinced that's the actual Shade Hand.
Yeah, no one ever sees them. They always slip past all the guards, and they never know how they leave the meeting. They're all very important factors. Oh, and they wake up sweating as well. We needed to know that 3 times in a row.
Very much like to hypothesize that the Shade Hand and the Bogmore Collective may end up becoming our next big threat.
Threat?
Oh, a threat.
That's not what I was expecting you to say. I thought ally. I thought you were going to go with ally. I thought maybe Blackthorn would convince the Shade Hand that Ferec is bad and that he needs to interfere. It isn't a matter of pride and secrecy anymore. It is a matter of lives and death.
It could. I see it going one of two ways. It could either go that way, that everything that's happening with Ferec will make the ties stronger, that they see Blackthorn doing the right thing by coming to the Breakers, or it could go the opposite direction. Thorn has abandoned her rituals, her families, her. Do you know what I mean? Everything that ties the sacredness of the Shade Hand and the Bogmore Collective together, to turn their back to these people that the Bogmore Collective. I don't know how they stand on Ferec's idea, but it's the widely accepted thing that the Breakers are the cause. If then we take out Ferec and they still believe that, could they then try and just take up his mantle, but being a more threat because they've had all this magic?
It's Ferec 2.0.
Yeah.
Bigger, badder, stronger, and more
He's got
secretive.
2 beard necklaces.
Yeah. Then we got to be a double agent for the Bogmore Collective, and then we get found out through some weird, stupid note.
Yeah.
That, everything we're all bullshit.
100%. It's all bollocks.
Well, the thing is, with that note, actually, it seems as though Thaddy believes that's real.
It's a real report.
It's because he wants to know. Like he mentions it in his opening speech to us this week.
Oh, really?
So obviously, Ferec saying that is this from Thaddeus or anything was just him trying to bluff his way out of it. Is trying to make so much of a scene that we're like, oh god.
So
Ferec thinks it's real. Thaddeus thinks it's real.
So Thaddeus thinks it's real, but it doesn't seem like he's claiming ownership over it, right? So that means that there actually is a legitimate third party that actually arrested this other Vowkeeper.
Because he wants to find out who the Vowkeeper is that apparently broke it.
Oh shit! What? I mean, I don't remember. I think we might have talked about Sloth, but we might have, I don't know where it came up, but is this our introduction or our reintroduction to Garrick? Is Garrick the one who
very much thinking that we are going to see Garrick very soon.
I think I definitely believe it was Garrick that wrote that report. I think because we know how close he was to Ferec, we know that he was starting to believe the Breakers.
Any play in it.
Yeah, we know he was starting to believe Avira and the Breakers, especially after his conversations with Thaddeus. So if Thaddeus believes it's real, that just gives us another reason to believe it's Garrick, because we know Thaddeus trusted Garrick. Even in their first meeting, he told Garrick a very, very important bit of information that I don't necessarily think Thaddeus would want getting back to Ferec unless he already knew. Unless, of course, you know, Thaddeus' granddaughter had something to do with Ferec. But yeah, other than that, I feel like it's a very important bit of information to give out to somebody you just met, especially somebody who you know is a Vowkeeper.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, if we do see Garrick re-arise at, like, the end of chapter 2, like, I think in terms of like lore and story, that's like chef's kiss of storytelling to bring back this character that we only know of in these journals that we've experienced all the lore through, and just haven't seen him for the past 2 chapters, to bring him back in this way. And it's like, and you don't even need to see like a physical representation of him, just be like, you know, some letter that's signed Garrick at the end of it, and he can just be working in the shadows as we're doing our other active Vowbreaker duties.
I just had a beautiful idea for a cutscene for the end of chapter 2, where we're us as a breaker are, you know, investigating Banehelm, kind of off the back of what happened with Ferec and Thaddeus, and we're at Banehelm, and then we see the doors of the Banehelm Academy open, and there's a silhouette there holding books and pages, and we look and we just see them dash past and they're gone, and then we run over to the door, look on the floor, and there is a page of Garrick's journal just there. And that's it. We know that was Garrick, and he's skeeted, he's back, he was in Banehelm Academy doing some research. I think that would be really cool.
I like the idea of only alluding to him at the end of chapter 2.
Yeah. So it being a silhouette, a dash away, and then we just a page of Garrick's journal, you know, just floats to the floor, and then we just get a quick zoom in shot of the page.
Because when you were discussing all that, literally, I was just thinking that, can you imagine if something goes wrong with the chronolith, and Garrick, having so much experience with the Shade Hand, probably more so than most others, may well have known about it. Like, he could then come back at the beginning of chapter 3 when we actually see him to try and help us fix the chronolith because it breaks or something.
Or Thaddeus sat on it.
And to feed in more to the theory of you saying obviously Garrick is looking likely that he might be coming back. At the end of his journal, Thaddy does ask him for more help. Could this be Garrick trying to uncover the truth? Because if Ferec is so adamant that the Breakers did it, but Garrick's just been told that it was actually Thaddy's granddaughter and someone from Banehelm under the orders of Ferec, he could well have, as you say, written this note to gauge Ferec's true reaction. Because if he calls this note crap like he has, yeah, Garrick could have been sitting there somewhere in the shadows, watching and waiting. Like, wait a minute, how would he know this isn't real?
Yeah,
and I like the idea of Garrick acting in the background of what we do as active breakers, because 100%. I mean, one of the things, like, to slightly bring it to a different game of like Dungeons and Dragons, right? One of the things that I like to do as a DM in terms of storytelling is, as my players are doing one thing, the world itself is still moving and it's still turning. And so this, if it is indeed Garrick who did this and has just been secretly like building off the knowledge of like, oh, Banehelm, let's go to Banehelm and figure out some stuff, and then found out that, I forget the character's name, like Shayla or something, was someone who, you know, we should get them. And it's like, yeah, the world is as large as we, you know, can think of when it
Yeah.
comes to this stuff.
For sure.
And so it's great from a narrative standpoint.
I do love the idea that there are other tiny little things going on in the HoloLands that we're not aware of, because we've always kind of been under the impression that we're the only ones that go there and we're the only ones doing anything, but I don't think that's the case. I definitely think at least the Bogmore Collective come back to the HoloLands. I think a bare minimum they come back. Of course, we know the Vowkeepers and Ferec do now, but even beforehand, that's kind of relatively new knowledge this chapter.
It wouldn't surprise me if when Garrick says that there was rumors of the Lux Vault being raided, that it wasn't actually the Breakers he thinks it was. Breakers wouldn't necessarily know what's in Lux Vault. The Shade Hand and one part of the Five Hand Alliance probably would.
Yeah. Well, it was a big storage area for rare artifacts from all of the alliances. Obviously, it was just situated near Dustpool due to Dustpool having the large mining facilities of Brillstones, which are some of our most important artifacts as far as I'm aware.
So it wouldn't surprise me if it was actually the Bogmore Collective that raided the Lux Vault when they had the chance.
Maybe that's where the Chronolith was.
I don't think they're allies. I don't think that they're in the Five Hand Alliance to be good and to help run the Five Hand Alliance. I feel like it's just to keep tabs on everything.
Well, and yeah, I mean, to even bring it back to why the Five Hand Alliance was created in the first place, it was because Bogmore was in trouble. There was a giant, massive force of some unknown evil attacking relatively close to them, and they needed help. And so yeah, the alliance since its inception has only been, for Bogmore to get certain gains out of it, whether it be protection, whether it be protection both physically, land wise, and even their secrets.
So just off the back of what you're saying, right? There's two things that I wanna breach upon. First, who the hell were the forces that the Bogmore Collective were going against? I know we've discussed it, but there is nothing out there that we know of. Who the hell broke down the Dread Curtain?
What happened to the Dread Curtain? That is honestly where I got
for a reason.
That is where I got like writer's block on my most recent video, is trying to explain or have some kind of theory or conclusion for the Dread Curtain and what happened there and where it is and why it was so important to defend. Was it simply just a gateway to somewhere else, or was the Dread Curtain almost like a protective barrier around Bogmore? And once it was broken, they were scared their secrets would be let out as they don't have the protection of this curtain. Yeah.
From what we know, the Prisma were to the east of Bogmore, not to the south where the Dread Curtain is. So there could well be a new race that we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah. There could be hundreds of races on the planet that the HoloLands are on. We just know of two, right? Two?
Yep. 2, maybe 3 of the armorers are a race.
Yeah, because obviously we know the faking. In the description of the skin for the faking, it's described as otherworldly. So I'm going to assume that the faking is from a different planet, not from our one.
A different plane of existence, like the,
maybe. The Star Lady.
The what?
Star Lady.
Star Weaver.
That's the one.
Gosh.
I'll never forget her name. I waited so long.
You know how Ferec these visions and these after the tremors, as it were, from his meeting with the Shade Hand and the everything he does or they do. Could, going in on my theory of the Shade Hand aren't to be trusted and the Bogmore aren't to be trusted, could Ferec have gone to the Shade Hand for information, but the Shade Hand have then done something to Ferec's mind and forced him into this war, this get the Vital Stone? What if the Shade Hand's the ultimate mastermind?
Yeah, what if they're behind
Ferec
everything?
could just be a pawn.
Oh.
I mean, if Garrick's a pawn, then hell, we're all pawns.
Hot dang.
Is the Shade Hand that, behind the strings, pull everything?
We have absolutely nothing on the Shade Hand. They could well be behind Ferec, the Valguard, the Fracture. They could be the ones that want Guile.
Huh. Oh my god, I can go on for so long about like
the
potential
first
like
shot
theories.
taken at Garrick could have even been the Bogmore Collective.
Yeah, it's both not a Vowbreaker and an elite Valguard. It's just someone from the collective, right? maybe.
There-
And like, you know, who's to say that the threat of like what
Bogmore
was
Death
happening
Dealer.
at Bogmore was true, right? It's
Mm.
like, what if they were just sort of making it up and manipulating it in order to join the Five Hands Alliance, right?
That's the worst
They
thing as
know what
well.
happened. They had the chronolith.
How can we even trust anything that Shadehand has said to Garrick?
This.
Oh God!
But literally, right? Shadehand could well be the Thanos of our universe. If you think about it, Ferec is just under his control. He's the one that's going to come in at the end of it when we defeat Ferec and be like, right, now you messed up.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's too much. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I needed to put like a tinfoil hat on equivalent. Because
I'm gonna have to join to some extent. So
yeah. Oh shit! You have a spell break mask.
There we go. Beautiful. We've all got a
all right.
Huge. But
I really wouldn't be surprised if the Shadehand is a bigger part than we've actually thought about until now. We've set them up to be so mysterious and so unknown with so much power that we could only theorize about, that it would be stupid not to use them as some sort of antagonist in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Because we know, obviously, Blackthorn is very sketchy about talking to us, and she's very quick to just dip if something goes wrong. She's not risking too much. She knows what she's getting herself into by doing what she's doing. So the Shadehand and the Bogmore Collective must have some amount of power to have a control over Blackthorn. You know, somebody who seems, you know, pretty well versed when it comes to fighting and rune use and just the Breakers in general.
The Death Dealer's description, if I remember rightly, actually mentions the Shadehand as well, being like the Shadehand's right hand.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe the Death Dealer could have been the one that took that shot. Like you say, a member of the Bogmore Collective, it could have been the Death Dealer. I mean, it's definitely in the name. He's looking to deal death. Frost Gauntlet will do that in the right hands.
Plus, obviously we know it's not we assume it's not a breaker because Thaddeus has said it's not a breaker, and plus the breakers don't seem to be the bad guys that we're made out to be. Yeah, the only two other factions that know about the hand of the hands being where they are is Ferec, because he organized the meeting, and one of the hands that was present. One of the hands that is rumored to never attend meetings in the first place.
Yeah.
I need a second tinfoil hat.
I need a tinfoil hat in general.
Yeah,
I tried to make a paper hat and I just made origami.
Yeah, see, I definitely. Oh, that is getting awfully warm. It's very warm here in the UK at the minute. That face mask. Ooh, I love it, by the way. Though my friend got it for me for Christmas. I was well buzzed. I was like, no way, where'd you get that from? But yeah, the Death Dealer. Like, you know, I definitely don't think he's a human purely and simply just because he's got pointy ears. And we don't.
I still believe that he's a corrupted Prisma, personally. Which would also explain how the Bogmore keep getting their hands on other artifacts and magical things. If they've got a Prisma in their ranks, then the Prisma know what they're doing.
True. Prisma got some stuff.
How many Death Dealers are in staff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I mean, yeah. Could be one, could be two. We don't know who the left hand of the shade hand is, so.
Yeah. What about the backhand?
Yeah.
But again, that what's true in one hand is a lie in the other. The statement the shade hand gave us. What if it's foreshadowing?
Oh, I've played that over so many times.
A lie, you know?
Yeah. God. Oh man, right. I think I'm not gonna lie, guys.
Everything's true.
I know. I think it's time for the Q&A section before we get 6 hours down the line and we still know nothing about the Bogmore Collective.
Yeah, it's just gonna be us about just like loose speculation about random things, like just our brains just like malfunctioning and just spitting out like shade hand.
I genuinely feel like all of that just kind of ripped your mind apart. You were just sat there like, what?
Yeah, so canonically, my brain was ripped apart, but actually, I was just trying to balance the paper hat on my head.
I thought as much. I was like, is he just really interesting, or is that paper hat precariously balanced?
Yeah, just like,
I love
Yeah, I felt the tip a little bit, and I was like, I really can't move anymore.
Oh, I love
But
it.
yeah, no, I'm happy to leave that there and let
Yeah.
everyone speculate to their heart's content and get on to the
Like,
Q&A.
I know I've said
Yeah.
this, probably tweeted it 3 times and said it live about 4 times, but I will get my Bogmore video completed. Hopefully over this weekend, if not over next week, because of course this week has given me so much more to work with. Where I was kind of getting stuck in places, this just brings so much more to the table. So definitely expect that video very, very soon.
Your video, is
sure.
it going to go into the theory that I kind of just made up on the spot?
I don't know. I'll probably talk to you both about it afterwards, just because obviously both had some really great ideas that I'd like to incorporate. So yeah, we'll definitely have a chat in the old general.
Yeah, and for everyone watching, if you have theories about Bogmore or anything really, obviously the chat here is great, but we also have a Discord they can go watch. You can, once that Bogmore video comes out for Eldegold, chat there. Or you know what? Tweet at us. Tweet your theories if they fit in, 140 characters or whatever. Because my theories certainly don't.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I need that.
yeah,
What's that website where it allows you to tweet like 10,000 characters instead?
Yeah, just twit longer or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But yeah, that's it. I'd love to get like all of your guys' theories involved in this as well. Get you guys some get you guys in some of the videos and see if we can all come to a great conclusion. But yeah, I know we've got quite a few questions this evening, so we might have to take a quick Speedy Gonzalez look through. I think we've got about 7 or 8 questions.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I'll kick us off with the first one of why did we have to take the chronolith to the location? Is there a reason behind that? Now, Sloth, I know you had an idea about that in the pre Lorebreakers lobby.
So, when we're given the mission to take the chronolith to Sawtooth, Thaddeus, or the mission description itself says that we have to take it there to attune it to our timeline. The first thing that came to my mind was purely the fact that it's the highest point in the map, the highest accessible point in the map. Obviously, the Brimbriar Mountains are higher. But don't know if it's going to be more than that. I know Adobo said that there's a door that leads to wherever in Sawtooth. I know that in the Discord, Robotnik was looking into tectonic plates and came across one of the points being Sawtooth Mountain. Because he asked us if anything important happened there, and until now, no.
Yeah.
So there's no. The only theory that I've made up at the moment is literally just the fact that it's the highest point, and for some reason that's where you can get the clearest timeline signals or something. Yeah. I don't know, but
maybe Sawtooth Mountain is more attuned to the earth due to the stone shrine being there. Maybe the shrines show where elements are most attuned to in our place, because if you go to the shrines, you see there is more brillstones of that element at that location. So yeah, I mean, I don't know whether stone would be the closest to time magic, but it definitely earth, the ground.
I mean, not to bring in like kind of like crazy things past the 3rd dimension, but in 4th dimension, the 4th and 5th dimensions of our world are time and space, right? So maybe as you get closer to space, a la being on top of a very high mountain, maybe the closer you are to being able to manipulate or lock into a certain time period, which that talk about crazy speculation. I don't know what I'm talking about there, but that's astrophysicist stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
The other theory I've just come up with could be ley lines.
Actually, yeah. I was just about to say, like, going off of the tectonic plates thing, like, what if, this is, if there's an intersection, what if that stands for something? What if this is just a high density of spell tide energy just naturally occurring?
Definitely.
Yeah, because Sawtooth Mountain itself is pretty much untouched from the fracture.
Yeah, there's not, apart from the buildings there's not really any damage, to the actual...
There's no fracture per se.
No.
It would be crazy, though, if it's damaged on the inside. Like, it's not actually a mountain, it's just, like, a shell.
Yeah.
What if that's where the Brillstone Automaton lives? Under Sawtooth Mountain?
Ooh.
Interesting.
It just busts out the doors.
Yeah,
the
yo.
automaton.
Yeah, no, it could be
um,
anything. It could be high points. It could be like Adobe says, the closer to space that you are, the more pure the spatial power is. It could be ley
It definitely
lines.
makes sense.
We have no definitive answer. All they said is that it's where you can attune it to the timeline.
Indeed.
There's nothing in Garrick's journal that kind of gives us any extra to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was yeah, I definitely like that question. I was kind of looking for an answer to that as well, because I know we touched on it again, Sloth, just before the podcast. But yeah, I was interested to talk about that. But
I don't know whether you guys will come up with any more theories when you get through the quests, but yeah,
definitely have a think about that.
For me, it's either height or ley lines. Kind of it fits because in real world they're kind of mystical lines of energy that run throughout the earth, and if you come to a point of convergence, then even more things happen.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. But I know the next question we had was whether there was a pre-war map. Now I know this is going to be a very, very quick answer, and that's no, unfortunately. As much as I wish we do, I have seen every map in existence of the Hollowlands and the Highlands, and well, not the Highlands. That's the point, but of the Hollowlands. Yeah, unfortunately.
Map Breaker Elder Gold.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have not been able to find one. I thought maybe the map that we see Thaddeus looking at in the current chapters tab on the loading screen, not loading screen, the main lobby on the chapters tab. We see Garrick kind of, hands on a table with some little figurines on there to show where we are and where Vowkeepers are. We see a map there. And me and Sloth instantly saw it and were like, that looks like it's got rivers on it. Maybe that's a pre-fracture map. We have a very interesting member of our community in the Lorebreakers, who is very, very good at finding out little bits in the game that we might not be shown yet. And he managed to get a picture of that map for us. But unfortunately, alas, it was a after fracture map that we saw there. I definitely think it is... It looks the most like a map that would be pre-fracture. Adobe, I'm not sure if you've seen it. If you haven't, I'll get that shot over to you real quick.
I think I did see it because it was in general before the wall of before the chronolith was revealed.
Yeah.
And I think you might have even mentioned it in our own personal chat, but or our group chat. But yeah, it definitely looks very interesting. But I do agree that it's probably post fracture, because
could end up getting a pre-war map or a pre-fracture map at least anyway, with the chronolith.
Yeah, definitely.
True.
We can look on a special table and take a picture.
Yeah. What we really need is a map gauntlet where our basic attack is just summons maps, and then our sorcery is maps pre-fracture.
Huge, bringing the game yesterday.
Yeah.
I love it.
We could end up seeing a pre-war map, an actual map, playable map for Chapter 4. As they have said that it's going to be the biggest content dump to date, which I know they've said for Chapter 1 and 2 as well. But with how the story's going, Chapter 4 is fitting to have some huge additions, whether it's gauntlets, whether it's a new map, whether it's both, whether it's
yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Chapter 3 is very chronolith based quests, and then we could end up with a new map for Chapter 4 based on that fact.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you if you thought Chapter 3 was going to be solely chronolith, trying to figure out how to essentially get it to work, and learn a little bit more about that and kind of the implications behind it. And then Chapter 4, we're just we're in it.
Kind of feel like... Sorry, go on, Aldi.
Oh, I was just going to say, I very much feel like it is going to take us at least a little bit of time to use this chronolith. I don't think it's something that we can just jib in the ground and look into. It's that easy, if you know what I mean. I feel like that there is going to have to be some kind of magical energy. We've had to attune it to the timeline. Then, maybe we have to gain Spellstorm energy into it by using a rift or killing another breaker or something along those lines.
We have to sacrifice a bunch of guards.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, Elite Valgard, can you just hop into this chronolith real quick? Thanks.
The quests indicate that we are ready to just go with the chronolith. Next week. It's because the only reason we didn't do it this week per the quests was because the Elite Valguard decided to show up.
Mm.
Otherwise, it would have been done already. Whether we get to
Interesting.
next week and it does end up taking longer, I don't know. I like the idea that it will just be a kind of event, not exactly, do you know what I mean, like Fortnite scale, but just it will be an event to end the chapter. Just a cutscene kind of thing like we've seen in the trailers, or could end up going wrong in that cutscene. And then I would say the first half of chapter 3 is going to be based on fixing the chronolith, getting back from stuck in past or wherever we are. And then the end of it will be that war that Ferec has been threatening us with.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, the war comes while the chronolith's broken.
Right. Or what if the war breaks the chronolith?
Ooh.
All that, yeah.
Yeah, like Ferec decides to just go full assault, figuring out that the chronolith is a point of interest for us, and just decides to send all of his elite Valguards over there and then we have to do some sort of like last stand essentially. But then like one slips through, Death Dealer deals death to the chronolith, and we got to fix it in chapter 3. I don't know.
No, it could well be something like that.
Yeah, I really
It
like
really
that.
could.
That sounds really interesting. But yeah, I mean, moving on to the next question. It is still about the chronolith. It's kind of a two-parter, I'm going to call it. But can the chronolith be recreated on a larger scale, and what powers the chronolith? I reckon it's just rammed full of chrono runes. Just mashed in there, like they just squeezed the top on, and there we go, chronolith.
Jam it on the top.
Yeah. Like a cocktail mixer.
The chronolith is it wouldn't surprise me if the chronolith is a smaller part of a bigger item that is the way that Chronomaster runes were actually attuned.
Yeah, maybe this big artifact was broken down into little shards to make Chronomaster runes, because we know Chrono wasn't added until chapter 1. It wasn't in prologue, and it was added in chapter 1, right? Wasn't it? Because
I'm halfway through the prologue, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure it was something like it was in beta or alpha, and then they took it out, and then they added it back in.
It was in beta. I remember using
it.
Yeah, I think they brought it back in prologue, but I was going to say,
it's interesting that the only two mentions of time magic we've got are Chrono. I know that's the kind of like the overall time word. I can't remember I don't know the exact fucking wording I'm looking for, but obviously there is more that you could make up rather than just using the word chrono over and over again. So I feel like there is some relation between Chronomaster and the chronolith.
I was gonna say, what if, I haven't done the quest yet, so I don't necessarily know what it looks like and all that stuff, but like, what if the chronolith that we picked up in this quest isn't actually the chronolith, and what if all of Sawtooth is the chronolith?
Oh,
what? And this is just the antenna?
Yeah, this is just like the piece that you stick on top, and then like it just powers like all of Sawtooth.
Because when I hear chronolith, I instantly think like some kind of obelisk, or like monolithic kind of spire almost. So yeah, your theory of it being like an antenna, that's perfect. Do you know what I mean? You just pop it on the top, and yeah.
It's very interesting. I hadn't considered that.
Because with the chronolith, when you put it down, did you have to put it anywhere specific? And if so, where? Like, was it just like in the ground in the middle, or was it in front of the shrine? Was it in front of the epic chest, or? Oh, I'm racking his brains.
There's a golden ring on a ledge. As you're looking at the shrine, I think it's the ledge just to the right of it. Again, it was much of there were two people trying to bombard me, and I wanted to get it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
How dare those other breakers interrupt us for science?
Exactly. I will actually load up BR after this and go and see if it's still actually there.
Well, I still need to do
obviously I know when we
quest.
put the surveillance down, they then became parts of the map.
Yeah, and I still need to do the quest as well, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, because I'll take a proper good look at it. I'm going to record the gameplay. I'll pop it in the drive for everyone. just because I'd like to try and get some still shots of it and some still images of it, kind of zoom in a bit, see if there's any detail to it, any discernible features, kind of something that we can link it to something else. Because, you know, say we see a marking on it that looks like a basic version of the Chronomaster rune symbol or something like that, it just adds a little bit more. So yeah, it's definitely something we should look into.
Looked closer at it last night.
But
it was also 1 a.m.
Yeah, understandably tired, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, obviously the question after the next question is, are the Chronolith and Chronomaster rune related? I think we kind of just covered that unintentionally. I just looked at that and was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I fully believe they are related in some way.
Yeah. I like you say, and stuff. I agree for the same reason that you brought up. In, you know, there's a lot of different ways to say time. You know, time is one of them, but they choose to use chrono for both. So yeah, I definitely think there is a relation there.
What if there's a race of timekeepers?
Oh boy.
Man, I'm just imagining Dialga coming down on Sawtooth Mountain. The most ambitious crossover of the century.
Just walking out.
I mean, there's two outfits that are time related, you know?
Yes, there are.
What if they're from the future, right?
They do have some unique clothing. I know obviously all the skins have unique clothing, but it does seem a little bit more. It's got gems in it, purple gems.
Yeah.
Boon gems.
Oh
Lord.
Oh no.
Here we go again.
Speaking, there would be a third time because the Fate Weaver.
The Loom of Time
is a different skin, I believe.
Yeah,
the Loom of Time. Yeah, or is that part of that bundle?
No, the Loom of Time is part of the Fate Weaver bundle. Yeah, I actually have that artifact. I'll have to have a look at the description again to see if there's, because now time is so much more of a prominent thing in the HoloLands. I want to go back at everything time related, like them skins that you just brought up, Adobo, and just reread everything. I think I'm just going to type in time as a keyword in the Spellbreak wiki and just read everything related.
Sounds like a fun read.
Yeah, no, that's a good show.
But yeah, I was going to say, as we can move on to the next question that we've got in the chat is, but what if no one believes us when we look into the Chronolith and we see something? Will we need something to show the world? Show, don't tell. You know, Ferec's not going to believe us, is he? He's not a fan in any way, shape or form. So if we're trying to convince people that, oh, well, we've seen this, how are we going to prove it? We just got to bring everyone from Longwatch over to the HoloLands, be like, look in here. Like...
Yeah.
I feel like it's not going to be a case of getting everyone to believe us just yet. I feel like it's more of a case of the Breakers finding out for sure so that they're more prepared for the war. And then during the war, Ferec will somehow let slip that he engineered it all. It will come out that Ferec engineered it all. I don't think it's going to be a case of us looking back in time and then running around Longwatch being like, we know the truth, we know the truth.
With a bell and a newspaper.
Yeah.
Which is all Breakers just have a tinfoil hat on.
Yeah.
New outfit.
It's just a case of the Breakers need to know so that once... Well, it'll probably be in the cleanup. Once the Vowkeepers themselves have been disavowed, then it'll be enough proof that we'll... Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? It'll be more like a hindsight thing. Some people probably won't believe us.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think that, anyone's going to really believe us if we, especially with, so much of the belief of the normal people is they're believing the Vowkeepers, right? So you'd need to make the Vowkeepers unbelievable. The thing is, I don't think that's going to happen like this chapter. I think we're still going to be like a few chapters away where we're seen as, the quote unquote villains. But it's definitely an interesting thing to think about.
It will be the theme of next chapter, actually, is the Lorebreakers then trying to prove ourselves.
Yeah. Vindication is the
That's gonna be
Title.
chapter 3, the vindication.
Chapter 3, please believe us.
Chapter
fair,
3,
right,
we know the truth. Please trust
Chapter-
us.
Chapter 3,
Chapter 1 was
it
called the
wasn't
Spellstorm,
us.
wasn't
Yeah, chapter 1 was the Spellstorm.
And chapter 2 is the fracture. So what if chapter 3 is the truth?
See, I was going to say the chronolith, but I like the truth.
Chronolith works as well, actually.
Spellbreak, chapter 3, Ferec is a big doo-doo head.
Spellberg, chapter 3, get Ferec some Rogaine.
Yeah. He doesn't need Rogaine, he just needs super glue to put it back where it's supposed to be. Because surely there's enough. That folds over the top, right? It's like a little toupee, yeah?
Yeah. I will say, because I missed it the last 2 weeks, I almost created a list of like topics that we always hit on every single week, and Ferec's like beard hair thing is one of them. The other one is Spellbreak is, and an insert pop culture reference here, which we covered both.
On that
I
note,
love it.
Spellbreak is very much a lot like my friend was going into it. There's a world in Dead by Daylight that almost fits Dungeons and Dragons, not Dead by Daylight, that fits almost perfectly with the lore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do love a bit of
Spellbreak
D&D.
is like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
There you go. See, that's just to make sure we hit our topics.
There we go.
Yeah.
I will never get over Ferec's beard. I just... What, why, where, when, how... Like, so many questions. I don't even want to fight him at this point. If he'd come up to me, I'd be like, look, mate, just 2 minutes. I've got a few questions about that thing around your neck. Like, can we just put the beef on hold for a second? I need to figure this out.
It's not even a beard though. It's probably just like the back of his hair, sort of like a mullet, just like grown super long, and it just like his hair receded backwards because of all the evil within him.
I still like the idea that I still like the idea of him using the flight rune to get away from Thaddeus so much that it's pulled the beard off his face round his neck. You can just see it pulling down.
We went into that last week, didn't we? That Ferec is definitely the kind of person that keeps runic and like 3 flight rune charges.
Yeah.
No, wait, hold on. What if this is just a really unfortunate side effect of using the Doritos, like the way he does? Like, if that's the case, like sign me out. Like I'm away from Doritos. Like I'm gone. I like my hair where it is. If I end up looking like Ferec after I like teleport through it, like no.
I'd rather be in the storm.
I love it.
Yeah.
You just use a Spellstorm Rift, and then when you drop it in, you're just like, has my Marla got a beard? Like...
Why do I feel more aerodynamic over the top? You drop down 0.1 seconds faster.
Yeah.
So.
Flight mods be like. But
Yikes.
Yeah. So we've got 3 more questions left. So the first one is, could the green flames be time flames? Like, I'm guessing that's kind of a question of, the Bogmore Collective having the chronolith. Could the green flame have some kind of connection to the chronolith? Or, time in general?
From what we don't know, we don't know. But
that was
From what
the
we
sentence
don't
of the
know.
century.
literally, there's not. We haven't been. The chronolith has only just been introduced. We don't have anywhere near enough information to be able to draw big lines to things like that. They could well have done. Obviously, the Bogmore have had both for God knows how long. They treat the green flame as if it's a deity of sorts. Wouldn't surprise me, but we can't confirm it at the moment. There's just nothing to say otherwise.
Obviously, I didn't know this, but Chameleon in chat said, but the chronolith was green. Obviously, I didn't know that because I haven't done the quest yet. So that is interesting. That is an interesting link. Obviously, we don't. Everything by the Bogmore Collective is green, though. They've kind of got a thing for green, haven't they? But
I didn't clock that at all. I just saw it as some kind of stony coloured.
Oh, interesting. Is it powered by the green flame then?
Chameleon says when you put it in, it glows green.
That'd be why then I didn't pay any attention to that.
It was that 0.1 seconds when like you put it in and it was like, there's 3 breakers on my butt, and then just zoomed away and it's just glowing green on the back of you.
If I stood around to look any longer, I would have had a frost shot in the back of the head.
Yeah.
The lore
in
is
the
always more
meantime-
important.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if there is some connection there because the Bogmore
Mhm.
are so secretive about everything, and they have so many rituals. So even if it's
Yeah.
not linked like straight away, there's probably a chance that the green flame is used in the ritual to activate the chronolith.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like in the background, like it just looks like this green flames like coming up as you're running away. Sorry, it just gave me a reason to use those lights in the
I don't
background.
know if you've thought about this before, LD,
Love
but as a pop culture reference, there is a green flame that is known to resurrect people from Thor Ragnarok.
Very, very true. Oh my
Oh, really?
gosh, this is more Marvel confirmed in Spellbreak. They've already been
Wait,
talking about
Spellbreak is just
Spider-Man and
Thor?
Loki. No, Spellbreak is just the Marvel universe. We've had talk of Spider-Man and Loki already. We're now getting into the realm of Thor. Man, we're gonna have the Avengers up in here before we know it.
Yeah, new
Well, it's funny
collab.
actually because you know how we keep saying that there could be something underneath a mountain.
Mm.
The Eternals movie is literally based
Shield.
around a celestial being based underneath a mountain and on Earth.
Imagine the
Is
door
this the
just
crossover?
opens. Imagine the door just opens.
Like,
Nick Fury
straight
comes
up.
out and he's just like, Spellbreak, motherfucker.
I would love that.
I'm tired
I
of
would
these
love that.
motherfucking Vowkeepers in my motherfucking HoloLens.
Oh, brilliant. We're hitting the big crossovers here. This is like the 4th crossover we've made in Spellbreak. Beautiful.
Yeah, Chapter 4 actually just has Samuel L. Jackson coming into the game.
Yeah.
Like they lined him up. They got the contract signed. They're just waiting.
100%.
I know obviously Prol isn't a huge dev team that would have the kind of. Well, I don't know whether Marvel would humor. I don't want to be rude about this. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know whether Marvel being so huge as they are, I don't know whether they would say yes or no to a request from from Prol. But
Are you saying
given
that
the fact
Marvel
there's
might
so
deny
much
us?
more magic and into the MCU now, I would love for now to there be a Spellbreak MCU crossover.
No, because imagine we get. Do you remember when the I don't know if you played Fortnite, but do you remember when the Infinity Gauntlet was added to Fortnite?
Yes, and it was the
No,
best time of Fortnite
no,
ever.
thank you.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying that the Infinity Gauntlet in Fortnite was the best time ever, and yet you pooped on the Aegis Tower buff. They're the same thing.
Oh, you just got called out, Sloth.
Yes, because I killed Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet and slayed with it, so I don't mind.
Oh yeah, as long as Sloth's good,
Yeah.
it's okay.
But no,
It's
genuinely,
per-
it's because it was more of a mechanic, and the second time they brought it back was even more fun because they brought the all the Avengers weapons with it.
That was
I
pretty
genuinely, it was one of my favorite times in Fortnite over the entire time I played it, and that was 3 years. And I would absolutely adore for there to be a Doctor Strange or a WandaVision or a Loki crossover coming with Spellbreak. I know it's unlikely, but I would love it.
I think we'd all love it. I think Spellbreak would
So
love it.
For sure.
And now is the best time. We've got WandaVision, we've got Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. It ties in. Come on, Troll, make some moves.
No, hell, Marvel, if you're watching this,
Yeah,
do
Yes.
it.
do it.
As we say, as the
Just
Lorebreakers.
Do it.
We are
Right,
very
everyone
influential
else,
in our sphere.
Tweet at Disney.
At Disney on Twitter as we speak.
Yeah, just
Um,
tweet at them. I like how we had to do these questions rapid fire, and yet we've done the exact opposite of that.
yeah.
Let's get through these quickly. Takes like
So-
10 tangents.
Next question. It was on something that you said, Adobo, and I don't know kind of how serious you were and what you when you said this, but is it like
Oh, boy.
is something like the Sage mode from Naruto? Adobo said we were only using like 80% of our brain to unlock new gauntlets. Will enlightened with knowledge unlock a new gauntlet?
Oh no. I don't think we have enough time in this podcast to really go into it. Tweet at Lorebreakers. I'll answer it there. Come into the Discord. No, I just to give like a brief answer. So is it like Sage mode from Naruto? I would sort of think so, right? It's using natural energies from around us because we know that the spell tides are a natural part of this world that essentially get angry like any sort of natural weather phenomenon does in our real world, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it just is something that happens around us, and it is something that we as breakers are able to absorb because when we go into the HoloLands, we are so we're incorporated into the vital stone, right? We are essentially vital stone energy out in the Hololands. And what that energy is that energy spell tides, is it arcane mana, that, all terms from other games. But yeah, I would be interested to know if it'd be interesting if there was an enlightened mode. Is that, to actually tie it into something, somewhat realistic? Do we get enlightened gauntlets, right? Or something to that effect, where there's been talk about, maybe we don't get a new gauntlet. Maybe we get just modifications to the gauntlets that gives us different, like, basic hits or new sorceries, right? But with the same elements.
Yeah.
What if those are, the enlightened, gauntlets?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I was going to mention this earlier, actually. With the Chronolith, we could end up uncovering secrets from the past and bring them back to influence our future.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love it. But that brings us on to our last question, which is, what if Garrick is related to the automaton? He left his knowledge behind in the form of the automaton.
Wow.
I just saw your face drop, Sloth. I knew that was going to get you. Your jaw just went bonk.
That is insane. I like that idea that Garrick has kind of transferred his knowledge and his sentience into this Brillstone automaton that no one else knows about.
I can very much imagine the Brillstone automaton having a voice similar to Pathfinder from Apex or Doug from Up. Hello! Like that kind of thing, very robotic but very friendly and enthusiastic.
This could be the start of it. What if Garrick is actually Korg?
What if the Brillstone automaton is actually just Claptrap?
Excellent. And here comes the Borderlands crossover that we never knew we wanted.
There we go. Insert pop culture reference here.
Well, to tie it into actual news, right? Tiny Tina's the new game that they announced apparently is like kind of based in a fantasy like setting, like sort of like D&D-esque. And then we're only one step away from like, Borderlands, D&D, Spellbreak.
Yeah, 100%.
What if Spellbreak is a board game in the Borderlands universe?
Oh man.
Oh boy. What if Spellbreak is a video game in the Borderlands universe? Things get crazy.
They do.
To slightly bring it back to the original question, I think it would definitely be cool if Garrick has something to do with the automaton, but I find it somewhat unlikely that he is, because Garrick, based on where we last left him, is still kind of hesitant about magic, right? He was very reluctant to use like a rune chip, right?
Yeah.
So for him to then be comfortable enough with magic to essentially power up a Brillstone and then use some sort of magic to power up another creature, right? Seems unlikely. Like even if we assume that Garrick did the letter, that's still like basic like human stuff that humans can do, right?
Don't have to be
work.
magic to do that.
Yeah, Garrick's just Batman.
Yeah.
I guess it would depend on how much Garrick has gone through in the time since writing his final letter to us. And
we
now
know he was being chased, so maybe he had to rely on magic. He had no choice, otherwise he knew
he
he
had
would
no
die.
vital stone, so he had to use the next best thing.
Maybe he's seen some shit.
He's just munching down on the same little rune chip, trying to get it to work. I don't know why, but as soon as I hear rune chip, I just imagine like a singular like chip or crisp and dash. They're just Doritos. Yeah.
Yeah.
All comes back to Doritos.
Yeah. Spellbreak just needs to like create chip flavors and release it for sale.
Yeah, because they did that April Fool's Day artwork of actual Doritos. Like, I would buy them so hard. Yeah, all day. I'd eat them all day long. I want to know what the Stone Gauntlet ones taste like. What does the Stone Gauntlet taste like?
Dirt and regret.
Oh, I love it.
Oh wait, no, sorry, that's the Conduit one.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Damn.
But guys, it has been a very, very interesting stream. We have we've covered a lot this week. And yeah, gotten into a lot of different theories. Just wanted to thank everybody for coming by today. You know, Chameleon with a lot of questions. We've got a lot of new people by the stream today as well. Slamrocks, thank you for the follow. The second number one, you've had some brilliant comments in chat this stream, I must admit. J Hobbs Plays, Juhi C, Dr. T-Bone. Is this Twitch name good? Yes, I like your Twitch name. I think it's very good. Yeah, thank you all ever so much for the follows this week. We really do appreciate it. But yeah, unless you guys have got anything else you want to add, I'm happy to send the raid off. I do have a person in mind for the raid this week.
Yep, no, I'm happy to. I think I pretty much said everything my brain can handle right now.
For sure.
I definitely feel like I've derailed enough of this podcast as an official return. So.
Same,
it's been great having you back.
Yeah, absolute
it's been
pleasure
good to be back.
Yeah, it was a shame we did miss Merlin this week, but he should hopefully be back with us next week. Along with, we will have the whole squad back together next week with some more interesting theories, the more weekly quests, and tangents left, right, and centre.
The penultimate weekly quest.
Yes,
we might
indeed.
Find the next.
Ooh. Interesting.
In fact, actually, homework. Come and get us at Twitter to give us all your theories to how the fracture was caused. I would love to hear them.
Indeed.
I've got my own theory in my video, so check that out. Give us your theories. I'd love to hear them.
100%. But yeah, this has been absolutely brilliant. Let's send all you beautiful viewers over to Luna Moth Dragon. Go show us some love. Great Spellbreak content creator. So yeah, thank you all for a amazing evening. Thank you too as well. It's been a pleasure as always. Always love talking Spellbreak lore with you guys. But yeah, we'll definitely look at some more videos soon. Like I say, my Bogmore Collective video should be out soon. I know both of you guys are currently working on videos at the minute as well. So if you want to give them a quick shout out just before we send the raid off. If you want to talk about them.
At the moment, I have kind of just ideas in the works.
Okay.
I've got, like,
suspense then. Suspense.
Variances and more betrayals. But my latest one was the Dawnholm one, so go check that out.
Yes, do.
Yeah. And then for me, I'm working on, I guess, stuff that is somewhat irrelevant now. Maybe, I don't know, we might be going to the past, but Stormguard stuff and talking about Neela K, and then potentially a timeline of, you know, how old is the Vow Mandate, because that's a question.
I'm looking forward to that video.
Yeah, me too. As soon as you put the idea in the general of the Discord, I was like, ooh, that's interesting.
There's one nugget of information that I think is crucial, so it should be interesting to see if we get there.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it, but we have got 8 seconds until the raid. So thank you everybody again for coming by the Lorebreakers. We go by both, but we will see you. I'm going to have to start the raid again. I thought that auto did the raid.
Too late.
Apparently not. Okay, right.
That raid's just gone.
Oh, yeah. What?